Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a good week so far. Just wanted to talk about some thoughts related to leading through uncertainty. So, why is it so hard to adjust to uncertainty? I actually feel a little bit silly even asking that question out loud because the fact is that we've never had as much certainty in our lives as we once thought. We just chose to operate with it. And I work with leaders who tell me that that wasn't working so well before this pandemic changed everything about how we work. So now it just feels like really that level of uncertainty has just been exposed. We see it more easily than most of us did before. So, how do you lead through that? How do you lead your team through everyone's awareness that this uncertainty is ever present? It takes a toll on people, uncertainty does. Um, I know that I've felt it myself as we've moved through these last 5 months, and it can be really hard to push through. It makes taking risks and leaps of faith a little bit harder. So, I sort of feel like a good starting point really is to just go back to basics. What does it even mean to be a leader? Your definition is probably based on a few different criteria. One, obviously, is your role. Another might be what your organization expects from you. Another factor is what your own personality and hardwiring is. And then some people also define leadership based on what their situation requires. So there's not even a uniform, universal definition of what it means to be a leader. Everybody's definition is going to be a little bit different. But in order to answer the question about how to lead through uncertainty, you pretty much have to start there with defining what leadership means for you, because otherwise, what are you even basing your answer on? So once you figure out how you define leadership in your context, then I think it's worth evaluating how you're doing at it. So take each component piece that you define and give it a hard look. So for example, one criteria that leaders often cite is trust. It's really important that their team trusts them. So, what are you doing to make sure that you have the trust of your team? Are you taking it for granted that you have their trust? Are you intentionally cultivating it? You've probably heard that sort of silly analogy of comparing relationships to checking accounts. If you make lots of deposits, there's room for the occasional withdrawal kind of thing. I honestly think that analogy is pretty oversimplified because relationships are incredibly complicated and checking accounts are not. But I also do think that the base concept has some merit. So, what kind of deposits are you making, for example, in those relationships? What kind of an investment of time and energy are you giving? Are you taking it for granted that your title or your role alone is making you a leader? Because, spoiler alert, it does not. But sometimes we say that we're not taking it for granted, and that doesn't necessarily match how we're behaving. So that's an opportunity to evaluate how do your words compare with your actions in that regard. So another question I have for you is, when's the last time you had a conversation with a member of your team about how you can best support them? We work with a lot of leaders who admit that they've never actually had that conversation with members of their team. They're very focused on the technical aspects of what it means to be a manager and function in their role, and they don't necessarily spend a lot of time thinking about how they can best support the members of their team, which we tend to think is a huge missed opportunity, especially when it comes to cultivating that trust. So, if you have been intentional about spending time with members of your team individually and asking that question, good for you. But then I have to ask, how are you making good on that? Where are the opportunities to show with your actions that it matches the words that you probably said about how to support them? And if it has been a while, or if you've never had that conversation with members of your team, what a fantastic time to start. Because all of this uncertainty causes anxiety, it causes frustration, impatience. There's a whole range of emotions that people are experiencing in the workforce right now. So if we can somehow support them through just creating a space for that stuff to come out, what a great way we can start building trust. So here's the ugly truth. Uncertainty has always been with us, and it will always be with us. It's just a lot more obvious right now. So we have an opportunity to do something about it that can help make our teams and our organizations even stronger than they have been before. So I'd encourage you to start today. So you can head over to our blog and read a few more thoughts about this. Follow us on your favorite social media platform. And if you'd like to have a conversation, we're always game. So just reach out. And in the meantime, remember, be safe out there and always remember to be kind. Have a great week.